Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and today delighted to introduce to you a new friend. We have Tim MacCurdy with us today. He's with Ventana Wellness, and he's a dermatology specialist. Am I saying that right, Tim?
That's correct.
Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Welcome, and welcome to the Valley and to Southern Oregon. It is a pretty place when you can see it.
I've experienced that.
Once the smoke clears, it's great. Well, we want to talk about something that we should all be concerned about, and that's skin cancer and the issues of skin. First of all, just the obvious question, is this smoke hazardous to our skin? And
the smoke is not in and of itself probably very hazardous to our skin. And anything that blocks the UV rays is going to be slightly protective.
Yeah, okay. But skin cancer is always a concern, and you hear numbers that are up, that are down, people who react, overreact. Is skin cancer rates, is it increasing?
Skin cancer rates are literally through the roof, up
Really?
about 300% over the last couple of decades.
Wow. Why?
Well, probably starting post-World War II with the increase in recreation. Water sports, tennis, golf, cycling, and a lot of people tanning, there's been a lot more UV exposure.
Wow. And we see all of these skincare products on the shelves, and I don't know if you want to get into that, but are they working?
Yes and no. To the extent they're used, they're certainly working.
Yeah.
There are a lot of products out there. It can make you dizzy just looking at the shelf. And so I really try to simplify things. I usually recommend an SPF 30 for my patients, and I prefer sunblocks over sunscreens. The difference being sunblocks have either zinc oxide or titanium dioxide as the first or second ingredient. And you should apply them about every 2 to 2.5 hours, and about a shot glass for the entire body.
Wow.
That's the way to think of it.
All right, so what should we be looking for when it comes to skin care? If you have irritation, I mean, obviously you check those things out, but what should we be looking for?
Any lesion, a mole, a suspected mole that's changing should certainly be evaluated. We tend to produce moles probably right up through our late 20s or so, and after that, it's much less likely we'll produce new moles. And so any quote-unquote new moles at that point should be evaluated.
Okay, or it's different coloring of skin? I mean, how do you tell the difference between skin cancer and a rash?
Right. Skin cancer typically is focal, so there'll be much smaller lesions. And what we'll usually see in people, let me separate things for just a moment.
Sure.
We have probably 3 main types of skin cancer: basal cell, squamous cell, and then melanoma. Melanoma is the most devastating of those 3 and accounts for probably about less than 5% of all skin cancers. That one is going to appear to the average person as a mole. However, the other 2 are going to typically present as small, red, scaly bumps on the skin in the sun-exposed areas: forehead, sides of the face, dorsum of the hands, and arms.
Okay, let's go back to those 3 cancers, skin cancer types, the basal and melanoma and others. Tell us the level of threat they are.
Let me start with the most threatening and the least common of those 3, and that is melanoma. Melanoma, if found early, which is why we recommend routine surveillance about every year for people who have a lot of moles, is devastating if not caught early. People do frequently die from that. Basal cell and squamous cell, on the other hand, rarely spread. They're a localized phenomenon, and they can be easily removed, and we do that daily in our practice at Ventana Wellness.
Okay, how do you do that? How do you remove those?
We anesthetize with local anesthesia. And we have surgical instruments that we use to biopsy lesions, and then if a biopsy is positive, There are a variety of techniques which can be used to remove those skin cancers, from chemical means to surgical means.
Okay. I'm surprised that it's on a rise, and I guess it's because we're exposed, we're out there more, and we're maybe not even thinking about it. I've heard cases in melanoma where it does spread rapidly. Does it? Or can?
Melanoma, once it's penetrated beyond the superficial level of the skin, can spread rather quickly and has a pretty poor 5-year survival rate if it's gone to a deep enough level.
So what about other than the blockage and the treatments that you buy over the counter, is there anything else we can do? Is any of this can be controlled by improving our diet, drinking more water? I mean, does that have anything to do with anything?
Not per se.
Okay.
I'm certainly an advocate for healthy living, and people ask me all day long what they can do to improve the texture or overall appearance of their skin, and certainly a healthy diet and exercise and drinking plenty of water are important. However, with regard to skin cancer, there's no question that a combination of avoidance, hats, wide-brimmed hats, shade, and the use of plenty of sunscreen and often is key.
Okay. What about makeup? I mean, you know, women wear a lot of makeup. Is that a problem?
No, actually, and there are different makeups that are available that do have sun protective factor included, and a lot of my female patients are now availing themselves of that, and I do recommend that.
Okay. What can we do to prevent some of this? I mean, obviously, you know, some of the treatments you have, but and you're mentioning hats and things like that, and they seem to be common sense, but it doesn't it's not bringing those numbers down. Those numbers are going up.
Well, unfortunately, there's probably a 10 to 50 year lag time or so between incidence of UV exposure, which obviously starts in youth, to the development of skin cancer.
Really?
It really. So it probably wasn't until the 1980s and really 1990s that as a society we've gotten more on board with the sunblocks and sunscreens. And so for the next decades, I would imagine that skin cancer rates will continue to increase, actually.
Okay. Back to the mole thing just for a minute. A lot of people have moles, but a lot of them are not cancerous. So what do you look for in a mole that could potentially be cancerous?
Well, that discussion becomes a bit complex for the layperson. However, I have special lights and techniques for evaluating these moles, and honestly, often it comes down to a biopsy.
All right. Of course, if you see something red around and doesn't go away and it's sore, those are obvious signs.
Certainly. Anything that's scaling, crusting, certainly bleeding, and is not going away deserves to be evaluated.
All right. In light of these big numbers, are people coming to you as often as they should, or should they be seeing you more often?
Well, I'm very sympathetic to potential dermatology patients across the United States, but certainly here in the Southern Rogue Valley. The wait times to get in to see a dermatologist are 3 to 6 months. That's a problem. People who have new lesions should get in as soon as possible. Usually a month or so is fine. But regarding regular surveillance, about every year.
Okay. Can you develop skin issues that are not exposed to the sun?
Yes, you can. With regard to cancer, certainly you can. It's much less common.
Okay, because I've seen some people get it on their back and they were wearing a shirt, or they get it on the back of the leg where it wasn't heavily exposed to the sun or something like that.
It is certainly possible. The worst cancer, melanoma, is most commonly found on the back of a man and on the legs of a female, simply because of our clothes wearing patterns.
Okay. The other thing is that it appears to me that as big as this problem is, we're not taking it seriously. I mean,
certainly from my perspective in dermatology, it's rather shocking the rates of skin cancer that we're seeing, and I think even as we get, as a society, people on board with the sunblocks and shade, we're still going to be seeing increasing rates over the next couple decades because of that lag time to which I referred.
All right, let me take a break here. We'll be back, and we're talking about skincare. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to join us as well. I want to, when we come back, have you address supplements. Does that help our skin issues at all? We're hearing about vitamin D is good. Should we be taking more C, things like that? And we'll be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Okay, we're back, and delighted to welcome to the Valley and to the staff there at Ventana Wellness, Tim MacCurdy. He is a dermatologist specialist and very concerned about the rise of skin cancer all over the country. I guess these numbers are skyrocketing, Tim, and have you concerned. What else do you do as a dermatologist specialist besides look for skin cancer?
Skin cancer is probably the most concerning thing I deal with, but we deal with an entire variety of conditions from acne to contact dermatitis, that's allergic reaction to various chemicals or other substances that may find their way onto the skin, hair loss, inflammation around the mouth, lips, general dry skin, fungal infections, warts.
Yeah.
A variety of conditions that present as itchiness of the skin.
Okay, so if you got any kind of a skin issue, Tim would be a guy you want to see. I want to come back, to the sun issue. It's good because it gives us vitamin D. Too much sun can give us skin cancer. Where are you with supplements like vitamin D or C or others?
Well, I really advocate for sort of diet that your grandmother might have had. In my opinion, it's not rocket science. Plenty of leafy green vegetables, normal amount of protein, and plenty of water. But you did refer to vitamin D, and it's a bit of a catch-22 with vitamin D. We're increasingly aware of the importance of vitamin D with regard to a healthy immune system. And we do know that people who don't have healthy immune systems are more subject to developing a whole variety of cancers, but certainly skin cancer. The sun is the most efficient way to get vitamin D, usually 10 to 15 minutes of sunshine a day on skin that's not been treated with a sunblock is enough. But because of the increase in skin cancer rates, I think more and more of us now are advocating getting your vitamin D through supplementation.
Okay, and those amounts are varied, but
they are varied. We don't have great science on how much vitamin D a person should be getting. But I think it's safe to say that somewhere between, for the average person, 2,000 to 4,000 international units of vitamin D3 a day would be adequate.
Okay. And do you obviously consider that during the winter months?
Absolutely. Again, I'm coming from Washington State, west of the Cascades, where
you saw the sun every 3 years,
if that, and certainly the general population there is below normal, actually below healthy levels with regard to vitamin D. And I think you don't find that same phenomenon on the east side of the Cascades in eastern Washington. So I think supplementation with vitamin D during the winter here is advisable. Okay. Yes.
I want to come back to the second most common skin cancer. How do you pronounce it?
Squamous cell carcinoma.
Squamous cell. What is that?
Squamous cell carcinoma typically is going to present in the form of what's called an actinic keratosis, which is a lesion on the sun-exposed areas that is often better felt than seen. So a patient may come in telling me that they feel scaly spots on their forehead, particularly gentlemen with not a lot of hair up there on the sides of the face, dorsum of the hands, neck, shoulders. And from a few feet away, you may not be able to actually see the spot, but they can be felt.
Does it flare up?
They don't typically flare up, but over time, actinic keratoses, a certain number of them, will become squamous cell carcinoma.
Wow. So how dangerous is this?
Squamous cell carcinoma, like basal cell carcinoma, is typically not metastatic, typically does not spread. However, of the two, squamous cell carcinoma more likely to spread, and if it occurs on the lips or on the ears, more likely to spread yet. So these are very concerning areas for the development of squamous cell carcinoma.
Wow, okay. Just on general skin care, now you mentioned earlier of all the things you do in dermatology, from looking at these problems, obviously where it's so serious, but to acne and other things that young people go through. How important is it they get control of that while they're young?
Well, I think much like
I know it's a phase you go through, but it can scar too, can it?
Oh, acne certainly can be scarring, and it's disheartening when I see young people come in who, for whatever reason, have not been able to get in to see a dermatologist or have not had adequate care, and they have scarring acne, because we can treat that.
Okay.
We have ways to stop that.
Okay. And is that a long process? What kind of a process is it?
Again, there are a variety of means for treating the acne. The most intensive treatment that we offer for scar and acne typically is about 5 months long. So in the grander scheme of things, not too long, actually.
Okay. And I want to come back to the seriousness of skin cancer problem, because as you mentioned, the numbers are high. I've seen some big percentages you shared with us here. And you're including that some of these cancers combined can exceed breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung and colon. I mean, that's serious.
It is serious, and I think that it's increasingly appreciated by the American public that it is serious. I think that is reflected in the fact that it takes 3 to 6 months to get in to see a dermatologist.
Yeah.
So it's quite serious. But again, I think with the fairly simple measures of sun avoidance, hats, and adequate sunscreen, we can go a long way towards reducing that seriousness.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome Tim to Southern Oregon, and he's now with Ventana Wellness. Are you there every day? What's your work schedule?
I am there 4 days a week.
Okay.
Tuesday through Friday. You can find me anytime there.
Okay.
Those days.
All right, and that's the Ventana Wellness. By the way, you can go to ventanawellness.com and take a look at all the services that are there, along with Tim is Dr. Joel Klein, and of course we get a lot of response from him being on the show. And I just think this is something that we shouldn't just pass by. The skin cancer issue, I've had lost friends with melanoma, just went unchecked, and by the time they got on it, it had gone too deep and spread too fast. So it's serious.
It's a devastating disease when not caught early.
Okay, and the basal cell is serious. I know it's not as serious as melanoma, but can it become a serious problem?
It certainly can. It can potentially spread, and it can be disfiguring.
Wow.
I think in the dermatology field, we've all seen shocking cases of people who have had basal cell carcinomas, or squamous cell carcinomas for that matter, growing on even the face for some years. which might ultimately require the removal of an ear or most of your nose, your lips.
Yeah, it's big. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, thanks for coming in. And again, let me encourage you, Tim is with Ventana now, so you can call over there. He's Tuesday through Friday on staff. And I don't think you're going to have to wait 3 to 6 months to get in.
I can see you very soon.
Very soon. All right, give him a call over there. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Okay, we'll see you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back here on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
You know, there's a lot of questions going on with the economy and the value of the dollar and money in general. Did you ever think that American money is an art and a science? Well, that's the subject that we talked about with our next guest, Chuck Morse, and he is the author of a book entitled Art and Science of American Money. Join me now as we talk to Chuck. Well, today we have somebody that's going to help us understand money, and I really value this gentleman because he not only is a radio talk show host, but he writes a lot of books, and today we want to talk to him about the art and science of American money and how our money is created and why it matters, and give us a little bit of a feel about the debt crises that we're in and what America's money is all about. Chuck Morse is with us today, and you can pick up his show on the USA Radio Network, the Chuck Morse Speaks. Chuck, nice to have you with you, friend.
Thank you, Perry. Thanks for having me aboard.
Yeah. Fascinating topic. You know, we're all watching this debt just mount. How can you help us get our head around this? I don't think any of us understands $16 trillion, soon to be $17 trillion.
Well, Perry, I write from a historic standpoint, and I discovered that there's a strain that runs through American history all the way from colonial times up to the present that involves this battle, this conflict between those who have advocated what I call constitutional money, public money, U.S. notes, which are issued interest-free by the U.S. Treasury, and those who advocate a private money system run by private bankers and investors, both domestic and international, who then loan us our money at interest and charge us for the privilege. That's what we have now in this country, and that's under the Federal Reserve System. Now, I'm not here to point fingers of accusation. I'm simply pointing out that the system of money in this country is one that is antiquated. It goes back to the days of the feudal times. It's not consonant with a free society, as I discover. And that's why we have this debt, because our Congress, rather than simply issuing money directly into the currency and paying for goods and services that are reflective of the gross national product and that is interest-free, instead they go to this Fed and they borrow the money at interest, which means that they don't have to deal with the immediate effects of the inflation of their policies. That comes later. That comes with the devaluation of the dollar. And since the Fed's been in place, and it was founded in 1913, our dollar has been inflated 10 times, 20 times over, to the point where our dollar today only is worth a dime compared to what it was worth at the time of the founding of the Fed. It's also led to a massive increase in debt amongst you and I, the citizen. We're up to our eyeballs in debt. We don't own anything. And that does not necessarily have to be the case. If we had a currency that was neutral, that was issued debt-free directly by Congress, which is what the Constitution calls for, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5, Congress shall regulate coin and the value thereof, we would not have this debt. Our government could issue the currency and would realize taxation to such a degree that they could pay for all of the services that we want.
Wow. What has the whole idea of credit cards done to our thinking? Because it seems to me we made a philosophical, maybe even a moral shift when we took on credit cards as individuals.
I don't think there's anything wrong with borrowing money as long as one qualifies for it and as long as the bank agrees that a person can pay it back. The problem is that if you have an economy that's a dead economy with inflations and depressions and booms and busts and interest paid by taxation on the debt rather than money that's going directly to help the people, then you're going to have economic insecurity. You're going to have other people, private citizens in this case, deciding on the nature of our economy. And that puts us all in jeopardy. That means that we can all be involved with the consequences of bad policies. A recent example is the Federal Reserve policy in the 1990 with regard to the lowering of interest rates on mortgages, which allowed people to expand their debt and allowed people to get mortgages that really shouldn't have gotten them to the degree that was unprecedented. And then, of course, they pulled the rug out from under the whole thing in 2008 by calling in the debts, which had been too overextended, and everyone was left underwater. Now, if we had had a rational system based upon genuine capital accumulation, first of all, we wouldn't need that much debt. We wouldn't have to use that many credit cards because our dollar would be worth $1. Working man's dollar would be more oriented towards saving. Interest rates would be up to the degree that it would be worth it to have a private bank account. Now it isn't. My daughter has money in a savings account. It's a fairly substantial amount of money, and she earns enough to maybe go to McDonald's. You know, we should have a savings-oriented economy where our money actually accumulates compound interest, in which case we wouldn't need to have that much debt. We wouldn't need these credit cards as much.
Chuck, is what you're talking about, is it achievable? I mean, could we do this even though we're packing $16 trillion? Could we reverse this situation?
Yes, I believe we could, and I believe it could be done. First of all, I think there's going to have to be what they call in financial circles a national haircut. What that means is that on the federal level, on the state level, on the corporate level, and even on the private level, we're going to have to negotiate the debt to such a degree that the holders of debt will have to take a little bit less of the interest and even possibly the principal than they're taking, because there's just not enough money to pay $16 trillion in debt, and it's much bigger than that if you add up all of the leveraged debt against our pension funds and everything else. And then our federal government can simply issue currency, issue U.S. dollars, U.S. notes to a very moderate degree and very carefully as a way of paying off the rest of the national debt. And the way that would work in order to avoid inflation would be that the banks would be restricted gradually and within proportion from engaging in what's called fractional reserve banking. Simply what that means is that our banks are able to create money by simply moving a couple of blips on a computer screen. They just create it by issuing debt. They shouldn't be able to do that. They should only issue the money that they have in-house. They should issue real resources, real capital, and as such, they will not be able to inflate the currency. So it can be done in stages. I think it could take 5 years, and I'm not saying it would be painless, but the end result would be that we would have a dollar that was second to none, one that would preserve its value forever, one that would be regulated scientifically rather than through this private cartel of bankers, and one that would be the envy of the world.
Boy, you bring up a couple of things here before I run out of time. Number one, what can you say to the individual? I mean, it's hard for us to get our brains around the national problem when our own debt seems to be mounting. What do you say to the individual about their debt and how to get rid of it?
What I would say is that, like most of us, you're up to your eyeballs in debt. Most of us, except for maybe the top 1 or 2%, who are people who are connected to this international banking establishment. And again, I don't mean that to wag a finger of conspiracy. I don't do that. I'm simply pointing out that it's a system that is antiquated and it's not serving anyone, including the wealthiest. And that you're probably never going to get out of that kind of debt because we have a debt society. Our government is in debt. We're in debt. And our dollar is a debt instrument. It's not a savings instrument. If we change the dollar over to a savings instrument, then the price of goods and services are going to find their actual value. That's going to be stabilized. Your paycheck will find its actual value. That will be stabilized. And you're going to have a much easier time of getting out of debt, especially if you then go ahead and negotiate with the holders of your debt to get a settlement on those.
All right. Now, with all the IRS scandals going on, there's move now to, I say, abolish the IRS and maybe go to a flat tax. Does that begin this dialogue? Would that begin this kind of turnaround?
I think that we should get rid of the IRS and the 16th Amendment along with the Federal Reserve Act. But I don't think the answer is a flat tax or a national sales tax, because who gets to decide how high that'll be? The nature of that would be, I think it's just too dangerous. I would argue that we go back to the taxation system that existed before the 16th Amendment, which is proportional taxes granted by the states to the federal government, various imposts and what they call sin taxes, and tariffs. I mean, one of the first acts by President George Washington was to put a tax on whiskey. Now, I know it didn't work out that well because it was a whiskey rebellion, but nevertheless, that's how our government raised revenue. And I think that with a dollar that is a non-debt instrument, the government will receive plenty of revenue, probably more revenue than they even need. And they would be more oriented toward using that revenue in a way that actually enhances this country, rather than throwing it into these crazy projects that, if they did that, would be inflationary.
So how do we get this dialogue on a national scale? How do we get you sound very reasonable and very sound and very researched. How do we get this dialogue out there?
Well, I hope that my book can contribute to that, The Art and Science of American Money. I hope you don't mind if I mention, available on Amazon Kindle.
Yeah.
And in fact, the whole discussion of currency and money was very common in this country for hundreds of years. It was part of every election, right up until maybe after the 1930s, when the subject seemed to have been, I wouldn't say suppressed, but most Americans don't think about it anymore. They don't understand the fact that the Federal Reserve, for example, is a private institution. It is a private consortium of banks. I hope to contribute to just simply reigniting a dialogue on what our money is and why it matters, and how we can handle our money on a national level as part of our federal government, which is what should be done. The money should be handled by the federal government in the same way that the federal government handles such things as defense and law and order. I mean, it's a basic function of sovereignty, that the nation is responsible, our elected representatives are responsible for determining the value of our currency. That's what the Constitution says. That's what the Founding Fathers expected. Abraham Lincoln did this when he issued greenbacks. Andrew Jackson did it when he got rid of the second bank. Jefferson, you should see some of the quotes I have from him. I mean, this isn't new. It's a struggle that's gone on throughout the entire history of this country. This need of the Americans government and the American people to take back our money.
Wow. All right, it's called The Art and Science of American Money, How Our Money is Created and Why It Matters. And you're saying it's available, Chuck, at Amazon on the Kindle download, right?
That is right. On Amazon Kindle, just put my name in the server, Chuck Morse, M-O-R-S-E, and you'll see it come up.
All right, how do we get to your other books? Do you have a website?
They're all on Amazon Kindle. There's a book page there. I've got 7 books. I've got an 8th one coming up soon. These are full-length books. They're not just pamphlets. Some of my books are 95,000 words. So this is a history of money in this country and the struggle, again, between public money, U.S. notes, and the private issuers of currency.
Well, terrific. Thank you. And I'd like to have you back when you get your new book out, and we can discuss it as well. Thanks for your time, Chuck. You're a delight, and keep up the good work, my friend.
It's been a pleasure and an honor, Perry. Thank you.
Well, certainly interesting to say the least. Well, coming up, we're going to continue to show you how to use Roku, which the Dove TV is now on Roku. It's one of the channels there. We're going to show you how it all works coming up next here on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at the Dove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on the Dove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Well, see this little box? It's changing the world. And it's changed a lot of what we're doing here at the Dove TV. Delighted to have with me now Michael Brown. Michael's the channel manager of the Dove TV, and really the brains and the bronze behind getting the Dove up on Roku. I don't know, how long have you been working on this?
Oh, you know what, a few months.
Yeah.
It's something we're very excited about. So you're holding a Roku device in your hand there, but I think we need to explain to people. A lot of people ask, what is Roku?
Right.
Well, simply put, it's the #1 selling set-top box in America. And people say, well, what's a set-top box? Well, it's a little device like you're holding in your hand there.
Right.
You plug one cable into the TV, plug power into it, and it connects to your Wi-Fi. And honestly, this is the way that people are now watching television. It's for people that either have cable or an alternative to cable. It has a lot of the popular subscription services such as Netflix and Amazon Prime Instant Video, Pandora, a lot of sports channels there as well. But what makes it really interesting is there are over 600 free channels as well. In the religion and spirituality category alone, there are over 200 channels. And guess what? That's where the Dove is now. So we're super excited that we just launched this yesterday to have the Dove channel on Roku.
Well, this is a major breakthrough, folks, because the Dove TV is now nationwide. As simple as that. In fact, I was going to pull up the statistics you had. Maybe you can just recap.
I have updated ones from this morning. It's there's over 400 in less than 24 hours. Over 400 people have found the Dove. I think it's important to mention also about the Roku that it's cheap and there are no ongoing costs. And I think that what makes it really why people are really grabbing onto it. A lot of people are getting tired of their cable or satellite bills, and there's certainly a place for those, but either as an alternative or as well as it's a one-off cost. And these Rokus, they're not expensive. They range in price from $50 to $100 depending on which model you want, and all of them give you access to these channels, and there are no ongoing costs. And I mean, I'm selling like we're trying to sell it. We're not. It's just that we think it's a fantastic way for people to be able to discover the Dove, and it's for a lot of people. We heard from someone this morning. They said, I don't have cable. I live in the outback. In fact, they live out in the Applegate Valley. They don't get cable where they live. But she said, I turned it on today and I was delighted to be able to watch the Dove.
So if you have internet service to your home, you can get this. It's as simple as that. Show us how it works here, Mike, because right now it shows the channels and where the Dove.
The channels, and well, you know what? This is the Dove channel here. I want to show people first how to get the channel. It's very easy. On your Roku, you go to the channel store. And the easiest way to find us at the moment is you go to the new category. We've just been added yesterday, and we will show up there at the moment. We're the 4th in the queue, but that's probably the easiest way to find us. We'll also show up in the religion and spirituality category as well. Or you can go to our website, theDove.us, and there's a link there that on your computer you can find a link if you want to find it that way. But let me launch the Dove channel for you here.
Yeah, there it is. Nice and big.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do when we launched the Roku channel, we didn't want to just put the live stream on. And you can do that, and this is always fun. I'm going to launch our live stream, and there's about a 30-second delay in getting the live stream. So we're going to see ourselves here. There we are. That's what we were doing 30 seconds ago. We can see what we were doing 30 seconds ago. And so that's great. People can watch the channel as it is, but what we're particularly excited about is all the on-demand content we have. And these are all the featured videos. So these are interviews, and we normally have all these interviews up there within just a matter of hours.
After we do them.
After we do them. So these are the interviews from yesterday and then the day before. And so a lot of our very popular guests that people want to hear again, John Middendorf, Laurie Cardoza-Moore, Bob Just, Father Seraphim, they're all there. And not only the featured interviews, you can actually go back and watch the whole episodes of this show, Focus Today, but the other show that we do every morning, which of course is our Mornings on the Dove, which is news. And so I'll bring it up now and you'll see the latest news content. And this is on here. This is the first one to pop up here every day. It'll only a matter of hours, probably 2 hours after it records, and so you can catch up on the latest news. So it really is quite something.
Well, it really is, and I can't tell you what this really means. It's a fulfillment of a scripture found in Romans 10:20. It says, I was found by those who weren't seeking me, and yesterday 400 and something people just stumbled across it.
In less than 24 hours, and we didn't have to tell them about it. And imagine how many people will find it in a week or a month.
It's just amazing, and then the scripture goes on, and then I manifested myself to those that didn't ask. So these are tools to be used by the Lord to reach people. God will drive them to the channel, and then when they pop up, and even go to one of the archive programs, use the content of that to manifest himself to them. And there's a variety of things there, and there's Dr. Joel Klein, and there's Dennis Richardson when he announced, and we've had a variety of guests here that are just remarkable. Dr. Richard Land, I had him on the other day, and he's the new president of the former president of the Southern Baptist organization, but now he's taken on a new role in apologetics, and so the list goes on, and it's just a wonderful way. And let me encourage you to get one. It's cheap, $50 to $100. I don't know what the difference is.
Well, the difference, the light one, what we're watching at the moment, so you can watch all the channels. The light one, Roku LT, it has, it's, you know, purple color here. The newer ones have faster processors, but they all will run high definition. The lighter one will run, for those that are interested, will run 720p, which I think frankly is enough for, because of what you're watching across the internet. The newer one, the $100 one, the Roku 3, they'll run at 1080p if you know, for those that are interested in that. Plus you can also play Angry Birds on the expensive ones.
There you go.
So there you go. If you want to play Angry Birds with your remote control, that's a reason to get the $100 ones. But they all do the same job, and you can get them either at your local electronics store such as Best Buy or online. I know you can get them from Amazon.com. They'll probably offer you free shipping, or there are plenty of places that you can get them as well.
Well, this is huge, and I just want to say to you, Michael, and the crew have been working on this for months to get all this done. To make all these postings is no easy job, but there's the Dove TV now, nationwide. And when we got the announcement yesterday, everybody pretty much jumped out of their shoes,
bouncing off the wall.
I tell you how loud they were. They jumped and made such a scream that the air conditioners went out. Couldn't handle the load. Our air conditioners went down. But anyway, what it does is it allows us to reach people all over the place. And there are a lot of people, I have to tell you, in all honesty, this is the future of television. Most people will tell you in our industry that content on demand is the way television is heading. And it's a matter of time you will probably have one of these in your home, because it's cheaper than some of the other services that provide. And all those have their place. But this is one way to get, well, right now, over 600 free channels. And then there are some pay-per-view channels.
And a lot of people, of course, subscribe to Netflix or to Amazon Instant Video, or they like the free streaming music from Pandora.
And there it is.
All of those are on there. So if you are used to watching Netflix, people can watch that through there. So there's a lot of the popular ways that people like to do, and people use those as, a lot of people are using those as cabled alternatives. And of course, it's great to see, I think, for the kids, PBS Kids, they have wonderful programs. There's a lot of news channels on there as well. So, and there are some fantastic, I mentioned there are over 200 religion and spirituality channels, fantastic preachers, and a lot of the ones that we carry on the Dove radio and TV, they have their own channels, and you can watch their programs when you want to. We have the Greg Laurie one here. I know Andy Stanley is on there. And in fact, if you can think of a preacher, he's probably, most of the ones that we have on, are probably on here. I wanted to mention also, we mentioned it's the #1 selling box in America. Over 5,000 households of those. And that's 500 million, you're right.
5 million.
5 million.
There we go.
Let's get on this, try and get the numbers right. Over 5 million devices. So it's extremely popular, and I think probably because it is so cheap and affordable, and there's so much content on there. So they're not paying us to sell it to you. We just think it's a fantastic device, and we're excited. We're excited because people can find it, and they're finding it in their own living rooms.
And you watch this on TV, not on your computer. Let me ask you this. How important is it now in these beginning days that people start punching in the Dove and then maybe even give it a rating?
That's very important. For us to be found in the rankings, at the moment we show up in the new category, and we are listed in the religion and spirituality, but we're at the bottom of that list because they're listed by popularity, or the number of people that have installed the channel. So the more people that can add the channel, install the Dove's Roku channel, the better. The quicker we'll rise up the rankings, and you can go in there and you can rate us. That really helps. That's something that people can do right now, and that directly helps other people find us.
Okay. Now, if it all else fails, they can go to search and type in the Dove.
You know what? The search function isn't the most fantastic on the Roku. You're better to look through the category.
Okay. All right.
But we do have, if all else fails, we do have the link on our website.
Okay.
But honestly, you'll find us if you go to the religion and spirituality one. You'll find us there.
Okay.
And there. Wait for it. It's coming up. There it is.
There it is. Okay.
The Dove. So you'll find us there, and we're already creeping up the rankings already.
So how does that happen?
The rating that, well,
right.
You know what? That's fantastic. I hadn't seen that. There's 13 ratings already, and we're on, looks like more than 4.5 stars.
Okay.
Which is super encouraging. Let's have a closer look and see if we can. Well, we've rated ourselves at the top one, of course, but that's what you do. You go select the channel, and then you can give it the star rating that you want. And that's a great way. If you're watching, you know, that's something practical that you can do to help us. That helps our channel be found by more people, and that's an outreach to them.
All right, well, just a little bit of a recap, and again, this is a big day here at the Dove, and quite frankly, your support has made this happen, and let me tell you that we can't do any of this without you being a part of our team, and even through the summer months when our income has been abnormally low, we were still able to work behind the scenes to get this launch. And I just want to say to Michael and the crew, they worked long hours, and then the air conditioner went out in this place and even made it miserable in here yesterday, but it got launched, and to get approved is a big deal because you had to go through a couple of checkpoints and all of that.
Yeah, it has to go through all of their quality control. It has to meet Roku's standards that it's going to technically work on all of those 5 million devices and growing that they've sold. So we were very excited yesterday.
Well, it's now launched, and I just want to say thank you to you and your team and to you who support us. And again, what a great tool. You may want to buy one of these, and if you can afford it, maybe get one and give it to a friend or a family member. And it's a safe way to watch television. It's the future of television, quite frankly. And you plug in the Roku, you got over 600 channels. The Dove is up there now, and just yesterday, would you say 43 states?
We're checking this morning, and it's been watched in over 43 states.
That's amazing.
They've just found us. More, you know, it hasn't even been 24 hours yet, and over 400 people said, "Oh, the Dove, that looks interesting," and they've discovered it, and they've watched it, and they've been watching all of these videos. You don't know how God is going to reach people in their living room, and that's where people are watching media.
And then again, so often people go to our website and go to the YouTube site to watch some of these, and you can do that.
These are all the same videos.
These are all the same videos that are right there. So if you wanted to rewatch one of the things that we had, you can do it. Well, Michael, it's fascinating to say the least, and won't be long you'll be able to listen to the Dove radio through there as well. And so it has audio features as part of their channel connections.
Yeah, we're working on that.
It's just wonderful, and so they're available at Best Buy and other places. I would assume.
If you can't wait, you can drive down to Best Buy today and pick one up. Although if you can wait, a couple of days, you can order them online, and you can find them with free shipping as well. And
the only thing it is, I mean, really, this is real
tiny.
Simple. If you have internet service into your home, you just plug in the power and the connection to your TV, and then go to settings, and it'll show you, it'll call for your password to your Wi-Fi, and you're up. That's all it did.
Our Steve Johnson had his connected yesterday, and it wasn't complicated. He went out, he got himself a wireless router for his Wi-Fi, a Roku, and he hooked it all up, and there it was.
Boom, it was done. So anyway, tell your friends, and thank you again for sticking with us and believing in what we're doing here. The Dove TV now is reaching more people than ever before. And Michael, thank you again to you and your team. So get a Roku device and enjoy the Dove TV and all of the programs. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike. And we'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at the Dove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us.